Star Wars fans have been discussing the possibility of an Ahsoka show for at least a couple of weeks ever since the rumor first bubbled up. But we have a new update to this story, and even more than before, it really looks like Lucasfilm is developing a solo Ahsoka Tano series for Disney+, and I want to talk about it. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Use your force powers to smash like on this video, and let's get right into this. So first of all, I want to say we literally just did a video on Star Wars Sunday 2 days ago talking about the Ahsoka show and my theory for what I think this show could be about if it was a real thing. I highly suggest you check out that video for a finely edited, figured out video that talks about what Ahsoka was doing, the different points in her life that we think the show could take place in, and then I sort of speculate about where I would put the show in her timeline. But that's not what this video is going to be. This video is going to be me just talking about this newest revelation when it comes to the Ahsoka show. And then frankly, I just want to talk about my feelings about this, the things I like about it, the things I'm concerned about it, and then I definitely want to know from you guys in the comment section about what you are feeling about this. So friend of the channel, Jeremy Conrad recently published an article over on StarWarsUnity.net where he is talking about how he spoke to a source that is one of his best sources that is 100% on everything the source has given to him in the past, and this source informed Jeremy Conrad that yes, indeed, Disney is 100% in the early stages of developing an Ahsoka Tano live-action Star Wars series. Now, most of you that watch the channel regularly, you will recognize the name Jeremy Conrad. He runs MCU Cosmic. He's really great with scoops. I've done live streams with this guy before. I think he's very, very good as a source and as putting stuff out there into the rumorville when it comes to Star Wars. Now, he is reporting this as a rumor, as he can't completely confirm it with separate sources, but as he said in his article, this is a very good source. And this is also something that started up when the Hollywood Reporter talked about this when those stories were first breaking about Rosario Dawson being the live-action Ahsoka Tano. And again, I just highly recommend you check out the video we did Sunday where I go into where I specifically think this show will take place in the story of Ahsoka. It's a really good video. Go check it out. But as far as my feelings about this, I gotta be honest, I'm excited, but I'm a little bit concerned. And as I looked at what people were saying on Reddit, as I looked at the comments on Twitter and what people were saying, I think this is a feeling that's shared with a lot of different Star Wars fans. And the real weirdness of this whole situation is this whole idea of the Rebels sequel series. This series that at this point is still a rumor, even though I believe it's totally real. I believe it's totally coming. This is just a rumor that there's going to be a show with Ahsoka and Sabine essentially looking for Ezra. That seems to be what everyone thinks this show is going to be. It's going to be animated, and I think it'll run for several seasons. It was already hard enough for me to try to think about how that was going to fit together with an appearance by Ahsoka and perhaps Ezra, if Grace Randolph is to be believed, in The Mandalorian Season 2. That was already hard for me to figure out, but I'm sure they could figure out a way to make that all make sense. However, adding a solo Ahsoka series into the mix just feels like a whole ton of Ahsoka all at once. And don't get me wrong, I love the Ahsoka character, but this kind of feels like Disney is just like, okay, well, what do we know that people like? Let's just double and triple down on that. And on the one hand, it's kind of frustrating because I was literally at Celebration in Orlando. I think it's like 4 years ago at this point. And even then, people were trying to tell different people at Disney, hey, we want Ahsoka stuff. We want Ahsoka stuff. It was super obvious. She was an incredibly popular character, and it was something that fans wanted. Now, they didn't listen then, and now we have gotten to a point where now it feels like Disney is a little bit more receptive to trying to understand what the fans want. And that's great, but my fear is that this is a little bit too reactive. They're literally just like, okay, well, what do we have? We've got Mandalorian. Everyone loves Mandalorian. That's what we're going to focus on. Oh, people love Ahsoka. Put Ahsoka in The Mandalorian. And it's like, oh, well, people love Dave Filoni. They love Ahsoka. They love The Mandalorian. Let's put all of those ingredients together and make an Ahsoka live-action series. So it's like, on the one hand, I'm glad that they're aware of this, but it just feels like it's a little late for these kind of things. They should have been a little bit more in touch with the fan base. And it also just feels like if they're going to throw all of this at us at once, is that a little bit too much, right? As we move forward with Star Wars content, is it going to be a little too ridiculous that you're getting a big time animated series that focuses on the Ahsoka character, then you're getting Ahsoka interwoven into the plot of The Mandalorian, and then you're also spinning out to do an Ahsoka live action show. It just feels like Star Wars is going to possibly shift into a total Ahsoka direction, which again, I think if it had been sprinkled throughout a little bit more naturally, would have been better. Now it might burn people out on Ahsoka. I saw people on Reddit talking about how they don't even want to see live action Ahsoka. They think that she's fine where she's at. They love the character. They want to see her future in animation, but they're not even that thrilled to see her interacting in live action. And I think really what it all comes down to, guys, the thing that I'm most worried about with not only just this show, but just with Star Wars in general, is that they're learning the wrong lessons from what happened with the sequel trilogy. And look, I've been a big defender of the sequel trilogy. I still really enjoy the sequel trilogy, but as I've said very often since The Rise of Skywalker, it's obvious that this trilogy was not executed the best way. I think they let a lot of Star Wars fans down, and even those Star Wars fans that like what we got, I'm assuming even those fans want better stuff in the future. And I'm just concerned that Disney and Lucasfilm are trying to learn the wrong lessons. Like they tried to do this big grand thing, this end cap to the Skywalker saga. They did this thing with a trilogy, and now it feels like they're saying, okay, well, trilogies, we don't want to do, newness is great, but we want to be attached to these things that people like. We want to double down and create stuff around the characters that people like. And while that is good, that's not the lesson you should be learning from the sequel trilogy. I think had the sequel trilogy been executed better, had it been planned out better, and had the films themselves fit together more and just been better, this whole situation would be completely different. And so I'm just concerned that Disney and Lucasfilm might be just trying to sort of mine Star Wars and pull out the things they think people love and then extrapolate out content from that, which can work, but that does not mean, or it does not mean rather, that we don't want new stuff. I think fans do want new content. They want new characters. They want new stories to explore within Star Wars. And I think we still want to see how the story goes past episode 9. I think we do. We want to see what's going on. And so I'm just afraid that they're hesitant to do that. And instead they want to sort of double down on these things that work, because I love The Mandalorian, right? But like, if your plan for Star Wars is to try to make everything feel like The Mandalorian, then The Mandalorian becomes not special anymore. I think we need crazy bombastic things. Like, I want trilogies. I want them to tell trilogies, to create a trilogy, to have a beginning and a middle and an end, and to plan stuff out and to be bold. And so that's really what I'm concerned about, is that they don't want to take chances now, that they've sort of seen how things are going and that they're going to learn the wrong lessons from their mistakes with the sequel trilogy. There's also this timeline thing. Like, it's bugging me the way Disney's efforts and their plans with Ahsoka overlapped with the sequel trilogy, because like why isn't she actually in the sequel trilogy then? Like, she is such an important character, and like now we're seeing that they're responding to that. Now we're seeing that they're like, okay, yeah, she's so important, all of these things matter, and so all this stuff. But it's like, that's fine. But in the same way that you think that she can help you out now, she could have helped the sequel trilogy. Had you integrated her into the story, had you integrated her and Luke's relationship, right? Had you done something like that with her, I think you would have been much better off. I feel like that would have helped the sequel trilogy. Whereas now, if Ahsoka becomes this thing that they want to just extract gold from, right? If this is the way we're going now, then it's going to get really weird past episode 9, because there needs to be an explanation as to why Ezra, as to why Ahsoka, as to why Sabine and the child are not involved with the story going on. If Ahsoka, and we assume with her new Force abilities and being Ahsoka the White, if she has some knowledge of the Force, if she has some important role to play, and we do know she does lend her voice and Force powers to Rey, so she obviously was semi-aware of what is going on, right? Because we don't think she's dead there, actually. She's just like giving her voice, right? If that's all going on, it just feels like she would have been more involved, right? So it's like, it's causing a conflict where if that story becomes the thing that really works and resonates with people, and that's what they want to tell, then you're going to have to explain why she wasn't involved with the most important thing going on with the Force. The Force itself is awakening in The Force Awakens. Like, Rey and Kylo are these conduits for the dark side and the light. Well, that ceases to make sense to me if there's a bunch of other Jedi in the galaxy, particularly Ahsoka herself, who's so strong with the Force. So it just could potentially lead to some very weird problems. And I don't know, that's just my thoughts on this whole situation. And also, I get that some of these things are out of their control. Like when Peter Sciretta got that scoop about Ahsoka, like that was not something Disney wanted to have out there. And that sort of created a domino effect of a bunch of other news, including the idea of this Solo series coming out. So I understand that Disney doesn't control all of this, but especially at where they're at right now, they have not made a big announcement about who the new director is. They do not have this big talent that they wanted to get. And the High Republic announcement was met with some skepticism, which I think is totally natural after coming out of the sequel trilogy, right? So like they haven't even shored up a lot of the problems and concerns that fans have. And it just feels like as these things come out and you hear about an Ahsoka series, you know, my head is like, well, that's great, but like, what are they doing with the next movies? What are they doing with the timeline? What are they doing with Star Wars? I would like to know that and not just know that, hey, they're going to go back and make a show around a character they know is popular. I don't know if that's the direction I want them to go in. But ultimately, of course, I'm excited for the show. I'm going to watch the shit out of it. I love Ahsoka and I love Star Wars, but I just wanted to be real about how I'm feeling and just kind of rant about how this news has been hitting me. And so you, Star Wars fan, I want to know what you think about this. So please let me know your thoughts about an Ahsoka live action show and just Star Wars in general. Where are you at with all of this information? Let me know in the comment section below. And now let's shout out Benedict John Danasco. Indeed, the Grisks are the canon counterpart to the Yuuzhan Vong and the aliens that are harassing the Chiss in the new Thrawn trilogy. So shout out to you, Benedict. And now let's ask another nerd card question before we get out of here. I want to know, what was Agent Callus's code name in Star Wars Rebels when he was being a mole for the rebellion? Answer that question in the comment section below. If you just absolutely need more nerdy content in your life, click or tap over here to watch some more of our videos. Like this video if you liked it. Maybe share it with somebody that you think might find it interesting. And as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.